Look at this. Nobody's home. This mode of being is far removed from the norms of nature and the reveries and attendant sublimations necessary to engage in civic life. Here, ruthlessness and rationalization banish reason. Ambition trumps merit. Expediency pushes aside wisdom, and empty sensation masquerades as experience.
Like interstate travel, the mode of mind of the consumer state propels us forward to the next empty agenda, the next perfunctory task, the next meaningless purchase.
But depression slows us down, inducing us to feel the grief inherent in our alienation, to cease the incessant, habitual hurtling forward and striving upward, to stop and investigate the mysteries of our hearts, to feel the sadness of the suffering earth. I can't go on. I'll go on, Samuel Beckett. We must slow down. We are destroying our planet and her exquisite, irreplaceable creatures, as well as our own sanity. Two weeks before the Deepwater Horizon oil spill, what a dishonest word for that noxious bleeding gash, into the waters of the Gulf of Mexico, I dreamed of a badly injured fish who had had half his face torn off by some brutal method employed by the practitioners of industrial-scale fishing operations to exploit the world's oceans. The fish had worked himself upon a rock on a craggy shoreline. Holding an eternity of suffering in his one remaining eye, the fish turned to face me. Ever since this dream, the image has lived within me. I carry the fish's suffering, and I bear his dark rage regarding what our species has done to his as well as our home. This complex, mysterious, beguiling, dangerous, sublime, monstrous, and magnificent world we were cast into. My sense of sorrow at times seems unbearable, my rage bottomless. Who will speak for the voiceless? Who will make amends for their suffering? In childhood, I loved this body of water. Loved it as one can love any living thing, which it is. I swam in it, collected jewel-like shells on its beaches of bleached sand, and went deep-sea fishing with my father in its azure waters, wherein I was in awe of its seemingly endless bounty and abundance. Its winds and waves intimated to me the nature of eternity, and the Gulf's living things drew me into the beauty and terrors of the living moment. Approximately 90% of the large fish, tuna, mackerel in the world's oceans are gone due to overfishing. Oceanographers predict in 50 years' time, the oceans and seas the earth over will be dead. And these are conservative estimates. Much like the denizens of late Cretaceous, looking dumbly at the sky and barely giving a second thought to that bright, shiny thingy that appeared above, this is a calamity so large in scale and so all-encompassing in its implications that we human beings just can't wrap our minds around it. In fact, by our elevation of willful ignorance and mindless consumerism to a cultural imperative, we human beings acting collectively are the equivalent of the planet-decimating Cretaceous comet. I try to resist losing myself in misanthropic rage when I read statistics such as this. Yet I am enraged at the waste, the sheer stupidity, mendacity, and hubris of it all. I want to grab the human race by the lapels and shout, "Stop it! God damn it! Just stop it! How could you destroy something so beautiful and then continue to go through your subcretinous day? What the hell is wrong with you? Didn't anyone ever teach you the meaning of decency?" This is not a political debate. This is a choice between sanity and mass suffering.
perhaps even the survival of our species and a mass die-off. But listening to the pronouncements of Washington's political class and the mainstream media's ceaseless, shallow, miss-the-point narratives is like eavesdropping on the palaver of a petri dish. Excuse my sense of fatalism. At this point, the system is too far gone to be redeemed. It is in the process a systemic breakdown. Although this is not as awful as it sounds, for one must let go and let the natural process of decay take over. When the rot is this advanced, at best what you have is culture as a compost heap. Yet that doesn't mean in times of decay there cannot be meaning and beauty, because life itself becomes vivid and alive in contrast to the extant ugliness. Without decay, there is no change. The world would be as pointless as paradise. If you wish to find the future for us, look to the humus upon its floor. The future is decay, and decay is the future. The old ego must sing even within the compost heap of its own putrefied concepts, and as it does, it must sing of its sorrows and the sorrows of the earth, singing like the severed head of Orpheus floating to Lesbos. Arias of compost sing of new understandings, but you cannot skip the singing school of grief. Frank O'Hara suggests, in times of crisis, we must all decide again and again whom we love. Things are going to work out, but not in ways we can predict. If these Confederate ghosts could shout through the prison of their enshrinement, they would call out to us, "Don't believe it." Having seen the meaningless waste of war, we know now that we would have chosen to live out our lives breathing in the humid Georgia air, having our troubles softened by the sight of dappled light filtered through pine needles, and being lulled to sleep at night by the sounds of crickets and cicada. Don't believe the lie as we did, that dying in a rich man's war is a virtue. Don't buy into the fraud that working all your life for a greedy few is a sound way to proceed through the fleeting and finite years of your time upon this earth.